Hang on, wait. All right, hit it. Kick it!
Oh, finally.
All right, welcome. This is the one and only Hardheaded podcast. We're coming at you live today from Trussell Media Studios, downtown Wichita. Glad you could join us, folks. Actually, nobody's joined us yet.
Oh, they're here.
They're here. They're here in spirit.
Believe you me.
Yeah, so if you're listening, this was pre-recorded on March 14th.
Actually, I believe today's the 15th.
Matt is
We
behind.
technically-
Oh, I am behind today.
We
Holy
technically
moly.
didn't pre-record it. We recorded it.
We
on
recorded
March
it today.
Well, if they're listening to it on the later.
Who cares?
All right.
But today is 3/14, also known as
Hi.
Pie.
Happy Pie Day.
All right. Hostess fruit pie.
Got you a pie.
All right. Fruit pie day. Not sponsored by Hostess yet.
Yeah.
I just think it's hilarious.
Pie day. Hey, did y'all celebrate 3/11 day? Probably not.
Oh, 3/11?
3/11 day?
Oh,
Smoke them if you got them?
3/11.
No, just 3/11.
Oh, 3/11. It's Marine Corps. It's USMC Grunt. That's our MOS.
Oh.
So I celebrated 3/11.
Well, I did not know that.
I did some shots. Pow pow. Drink.
Well, what's the other 3/11?
The band 3/11
Man, 3/11.
always has like a 12-hour concert or whatever on 3/11 day. March 11th.
What do they sing? I don't know who you're talking about.
Aren't they alternative?
Down, Amber. I don't know. They're an
It's
alternative
been in
band
some of our top
from
threes
the
in past,
90s. Alternative band from the 90s. Yeah.
I don't think people should just be able to take over a whole day.
No, they do.
Jeff. It's their day.
It's their
Okay.
day.
So, you guys know about this bank that went belly up?
Heard about it. It's in California.
Well, that's their headquarters. They're
Silicon Valley Bank. And is the other one Signature Bank? Is that right?
Yeah, another one went today, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that another one went today?
No, they're both in California.
I don't know about that other one.
I don't know if they're both in California, but they're both banks that are heavily involved in tech startups and stuff like that. From what I've
Yeah, but then Moody came out and said that there are 7 other banks that people are worried about. Moody's worried about, downgraded their value.
Okay, what's Moody?
Moody's just a Wall Street, investing windsock, so they could rate specific investments and say this is a investment you should get into, or this one is on the upswing, this one's on the downswing.
Yeah.
They rate them specific ways, and they dropped the rating on 7 other banks in the U.S. today.
Okay.
One of them being Intrust Bank.
Oh, we're perfect.
What?
Yay!
Wow.
Good thing
Yeah,
I don't
alright.
have over $250,000 in there.
Now, why does the $250,000 matter, Matt?
Well, because that was the original insured amount from the FDIC is what they would cover if there was an issue. And what they're doing now, and from what I've read, people don't want to call this a bailout, but that's what it is, because they're basically guaranteeing these people's money up to whatever they had in that bank. They're saying the government's going to make these people whole.
Right, which is in my opinion, a bad deal.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
for it.
so when I looked at that, because I don't have that type of money where I have to worry about those problems. But my first thought was I know people that have, when I talk to them and they've been going through estate planning and stuff like that, and they're like, well, I've got this bank account and this bank account and this bank account, and there's this much in this one, this much in this one, and this much in this one.
Yeah.
And they keep that limit under $250,000, so all their money is insured, but they've got their money spaced across however many different banks so they know that they're covered.
Right.
So why didn't these people do that? Why weren't they smart enough to do that?
Well, it's not necessarily just people's money that's in there. It's like companies' money that's in there.
Well,
and your
right,
company doesn't spread out, because a company can have more than $250,000 in one transaction. So.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So there's some of that comes into play, and then you're wondering why they're managing that just through a specific bank. To kind of give you an idea, 15% of the accounts in that Silicon Valley Bank.
Hold on. Were they operated? Were they unsecured?
Yeah, that means there were 15% were under 250,000. So 85% of all their accounts they had were over the FDIC insured amount.
Right.
Which is known as unsecured. So they high risk basically. I mean, that's if you're looking at it, they're definitely on the high end of the risk scale, which is different. In trust is only 30% is over that 250,000. So if you're an in trust customer, their portfolio is definitely not in the large high risk type stuff. And I just did, but to do a comparison, another bank that I'm familiar with here around Wichita is Equity Bank. They're at 98% secured. So only 2% of theirs is over that amount. So pretty interesting. But
is Equity going under?
No, and neither is Interest.
All right, just a bank at Equity. So
Well,
yeah.
But see, what's funny about that though is
more than likely you're in the 98% that doesn't have more than $250,000
More than
deposited
likely.
in one account.
That's correct.
However, from what I've read, some of these accounts that were with SVB were, what do they call those people that invest your money for you?
Financial advisors.
Brokers,
Yeah, I guess like investment firms and stuff like that have
hedge funds.
retirement accounts for people and stuff like that, and the government's not covering those. So, a lot of those were over 250,000 because that's these people's retirement that is being invested for them. And so I've read that those,
Like in an annuity?
not an annuity, they like mutual funds and businesses that operate retirement accounts for ordinary people.
They manage like their cash flow through an account there
I'm assuming they invested
in the bank.
in the bank.
Oh yeah,
And so
They're-
now
they're toast.
and so they're losing out. So
yeah.
we're going to give these rich companies all their money back and make them whole, but you're screwing over the people that had their money invested with retirements.
Well, not that I am pro screwing anybody over. It's what is insured by the federal government should be paid out by the federal government, and if it's not, it's not. Like, at what point do my tax dollars need to go to pay for everybody else's
from
failures?
what I hear, not a single penny of your tax money is going.
Then where do you get money from? Where does the government get money from?
I'm
They
just
print it.
reporting. I'm reporting what Biden said on the TV, or President Biden said on
Man, that's messed up.
They got that print machine.
He said not one. This won't be funded by the American people.
At what point do you trust
Or the taxpayer.
anything that comes out of that man's mouth?
Well, he's the president of the United States, shit.
Never.
I don't trust anything that comes out of any of their mouth, and that's another thing that's getting on my nerves. Is like at any time I would say something about, I don't think Biden's all there. Then somebody's like, well, you love Trump, and Trump isn't all there. I'm like, I didn't say anything about Trump. Like, I'm not, just because I don't like Biden doesn't mean I love somebody else. Just because I don't like you, Matt, doesn't mean that I really like Troy.
Right. It's that whole.
I don't like you both equally.
But it's that whole.
There's
no middle.
I like that. I'll agree with that.
I hate everybody equally.
Equal opportunity
Wow.
hater.
Wow. We need to work on that second commandment. Jesus.
The biggest concern that I have is that it seems like the government is it's really a move to nationalize banking, which if they pay out not with taxpayer dollars, the government literally took over all the accounts and created a new bank, and they're running it right now, which is scary. So if more banks go, they're gonna conglomerate. The next thing you know, we're all going to be bank owned by the federal government, and we know federal government doesn't do much well at all. They don't run anything well.
No, nothing really.
So, do you want to put your money into the hands of the federal government?
Absolutely not. I don't even want to give them my tax money.
Well, they take it. You don't give it to them; they take it from you before you get your hands on it.
Has any other business ever been?
And there's a reason for that.
Is any other business other than these banks been nationalized by the government?
Well, these banks haven't been nationalized per se. It's just we'll see what the future does. But no, we're a democracy.
Right.
We're not a socialist
Well, weren't there
We're a
talks?
representative republic. To be technical.
Weren't there talks of the U.S. Mail, U.S. Postal Service going?
Yeah, but they've been
National bank.
that's like a government service, and they've
Yeah.
been bankrupt from a public company standpoint. They would have folded a long time ago
Gotcha.
because government doesn't run things well. In case you haven't wondered, or in case you haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's in the news today. 2 banks down.
Well, and
maybe more to come.
well, there might be more to come because what caused that whole instability too was people saying, I think back in 2008 or whatever it was, everybody kind of all of a sudden, oh man, this bank's going to go. I'm worried about my money. So then they go and they pull all their money out, which causes
which is everybody's doing that right now.
Right. So
really.
I mean, there's going to be more
there's
banks
going to be more that come.
Yeah, and that would be why
And
people freak out.
They did have an article in the Business Journal today specifically about Entrust that said that they're covered. So it's about the assets that they have and whether or not they're liquid enough for everybody to come and try to pull their money out. And they said that they're covered, that they're not, they position themselves in a way that would not, they'd be able to give everybody their money if that happened, because they have some liquid assets that they'd be able to shed and turn around and pay that out. SVB was not there. Like they had, and it was known on Wednesday. It got out in the Twitter world, and then Thursday everybody went and tried to get their money out, and Friday they were over. It was over. Insolvent.
That's pretty quick.
And well, same, right? Same for whatever the next one.
Signature Bank.
Yep.
Yeah, not good. But with the way I said that, or the way it was proposed that they'll pay for it was through fees at the bank.
No.
What they said, Chet.
What fees?
I don't transaction
Like
fees.
debit card fees?
Debit card fees. If you got to come in and, I mean, like we need to print you a new debit card. Well, now that's going to be $50 instead of $350.
Yeah.
But either way, it's still coming out of the American taxpayer's pocket. I agree on that. There's no way it doesn't come back to that.
Well, we're at the point where our society of nobody ever fails. Your kids get to the next grade, no matter what the next level in school, no matter what grades they make. You don't keep score at Little League games. We saw all the bailouts that happened in 2008. It's like, oh, nobody can fail anymore. Well, if nobody can fail, then we're just headed towards a society of mediocrity with no excellence, and just we're all going to be broke because we're going to end up paying for it all.
I say let them fail and then figure it out.
Yep. And what you can do differently would be to not have more than $250,000 in a specific bank.
You may not have all of your eggs in one basket?
Well, that insurance, we're getting bailed out from an insurance perspective. We're being hypocrites.
What?
If it's protected by FDIC, we would be bailed out as long as it's under $250,000.
Well, now there's no limit on it, so.
Well, just for SVP, is that the same for Signature?
I think it's from what I read, I think it's the same for Signature. I'm not 100% on that. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter because if the government's bailed this bank out and some other bank says, well, why don't I get that same treatment? Why would they not file a lawsuit against the federal government?
Then why be a bank then? Just turn it over to the government, then we're national.
I think that's the point.
I'll go ahead and line up in the bread line now. Get up front.
I got eggs at the house. You're good?
So,
really? I'm good?
No, you're not.
How's this affect credit unions?
Same. It could be the same.
Same.
Yeah. If they go on, I mean, if they're playing around with more money than they have, like out in where they don't have access to it, than what people have deposited, and everybody runs on it and says, I want my money, and they can't do it, then they shut down. It's over. So, wow. Yeah.
Crazy. Wild times.
All right. Well, this is our first YouTube Live attempt at connecting with our listeners a little bit more. We're excited about that.
Coming to you with news.
like, share, and subscribe. Real time, what's happening right now on 314.
Don't forget to go get your apple fruit pie that's not sponsored yet.
And we're
Happy
on
Pie
anywhere
Day.
you can find podcasts. Hardheadedpodcast.com if you want to go find us there. And we release episodes every Thursday.
That's right.
I do like how he brought us the edible representation of himself.
I'm a fruit.
Your
Pie.
pie.
That was a nice try. It wasn't.
It was.
Troy laughed more than it deserved.
That's normally what I do.
It's true.
That's
I've
my
noticed
role
that.
on this
I've noticed
podcast.
that. Troy will laugh when laughs when it deserved. Ah!
All right. Well, we'll see you Thursday.
Did that even go live? Because it never showed.